Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Another episode of Beacon of Leadership. This is a brand new podcast we're starting up. Our official launch will be June 3rd. So thank you for joining us today on what is our second episode for Beacon of Leadership. I'm very excited about what this is and what is to become. And today I've got a couple of people who have helped to make Curtis and I
Wrong button.
I got the broadcast again. But anyways, again, two people who have made Curtis and I, or at least helped Curtis and I to become the leaders that we are, the influential people that we're about to become and helping to lead other people. Certainly, we've taken a lot of influence from our two guests today. Today, I have with me Amit Ambigankar. Amit is a business strategist, coach, and mentor. Amit, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And I have Jim Hetherington, he's a pastor. He's a wonderful, conscientious man and a relationship specialist. He certainly helped me in that area. And I know his influence has been around in my community for quite a while. So Jim, thank you for joining us today.
You bet. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. I'm sure I'll get full interviews with you gentlemen at some point. But today we're just going to have a conversation because you two, you were participants in our recent Better Life event, Better Body, Mind, and Soul. Jim, you unfortunately weren't able to join us, but I'd like to believe I represented you and mentioned you and brought your interests in the best way we could, because I wanted you to be a part of this event, and that's the reason we brought you out again today. Tell a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you help people in those relationship area.
Yeah, so that's great, and yeah, you did do it justice. I thought you did a fantastic job, and honestly, I had no voice that day. I mean, I was just talking like this. I mean, my voice was just shot. I just thought, this is terrible. But anyways, I'm happy to be here, and yeah, so I'm a relationship expert. I've been studying relationships for a long time. I've been married for 40 years. And so that started my journey, learning how to relate. And I've been coaching and mentoring for 34 years. I've run my own company for 27 years. I've been entrepreneur for 27 years. And as you said, I was a pastor for 23 years. And so I've learned how to juggle things. And as I tell people, I've learned how to get in the doghouse, out of the doghouse, and how to stay out of the doghouse now. So that's what my life goal is to do that for myself, but to tell and teach other people how to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And Curtis, you know Jim. I mean, he's been a face in the crowd in our seminars. Tell us a little bit about your influence with Jim and your impression of Jim.
Well, both Amit and Jim have both their books signed, so I've met them personally through different seminars over the years. Jim, I've met several times. He's I think I just met him at one of the seminars. He's really awesome. He's a really nice guy. It's some people I know like to call him their dad. You know who I'm talking about? He's that type of person. He's just a friendly guy. It could be your dad, even though it's not really your dad. So that's cool. So
Fatherly figure, right? And I think that comes from him being a pastor, right, Jim?
I think that's part of it, but you're right. I mean, Mary and I, we're called mom and dad all over the planet. We've got people, and that's how they start their emails or their conversations with us. Hi, mom. Hi, dad. And so it is a lot of fun, and I appreciate that compliment, Curtis. That's great. Thanks.
Thank you. And I mean, I could introduce our other guest as well, but Curtis, we're both students of Amit. Tell me your impression and what you think of Amit. Let you bring him into the conversation.
Hey, well, Amit, I probably have known him for several years. I think, oh my God, the first seminar I saw him at was when he got his book published with Raymond Aaron. That was a long time ago. And then Swapna said she was going to do it. And then my fondest memory of the two of them, him and his wife, was when she decided to do the 5 a.m. club. She was so worried about it. She wasn't know what to do. She was like, oh, I don't know if we do this. But you know what? She did it. So I think that's pretty awesome. And then I think, Amit, did you do it too? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
Because of what you guys talked about, I got to do this. So I read the book and I started doing it. So it's awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes, it's definitely been an awesome journey. I mean, I'm so happy. I'm so blessed to be in this position, to be, achieving in my life the successes, because it's not a destination, right? I mean, you're well aware that success is definitely not a destination. When you reach one point, you of course have to look at the next level. Otherwise, you start to deteriorate. So I've always followed that principle, of scaling myself up, scaling and taking people along with me, because I know that, it's lonely up there. So I don't want it to be just myself. I want my friends, I want colleagues, I want clients, people to grow with me. That's the whole idea. So I'm very, very happy that I'm working with you guys. You guys are the students. I'm working with, Jim. It's so good to have you as a friend, and, to meet you at events and learn from you. Like some of you guys did this amazing group, and I attended that event once.
Yes.
It was phenomenal. I mean, these partnerships is what's making the world go around right now. So well done.
Absolutely. The close connections. I love that you mentioned that it's lonely out there when you're trying to be the leader or the entrepreneur. That's really why we built this platform and called it Beacon of Leadership, because imagine yourself out on these deep, dark seas. You know what I mean? You're the captain of the ship, and you're trying to navigate and find your way around. And, you're out on a dark night, some dreary things going on, and you see this bright beacon shining out to you, calling to you. And so that's really what we've created this platform around, is calling those leaders to us, calling those people who, whether they're established leaders like you gentlemen, or they're new leaders, we really want to help them feel comfortable and ensure that their journey is smooth and make them feel like they belong to a crowd like we are. So you mentioned, Curtis, the books, and I love every time I see Amit, those books are over his right shoulder, and he's got his own book there, his wife's book there. I didn't attend that event where Amit published his book, but I did. That's where I met him, was when Swapna launched her book. What is it? The Journey, something about the journey.
Yeah, your journey within.
Which is really about growth and transformation, right?
Yes, it's a brilliant book. It talks about the principle how you need to change internally first, and then everything around you starts to change. But if you try to work the other way around, then it's not the right way to do it. So she walks you through an exact process of how do you change internally, what transformations you have to undergo yourself in order to manifest what you want in the external world.
Mm-hmm. And then so I love, and the reason I mentioned this is because not only are you and your wife a leader, or leader authors, but I know that you exemplify everything that is leadership, because we have met your children, and they are influential and powerful in their own right, and they're barely reaching adulthood at this point. In fact, your daughter also published her own book at a young age. She was just into her teenage years, I think, right?
Yeah, she was 12 when she published the book.
Oh, and that's an amazing accomplishment. And it shows a lot about the character that you have and that you represent. So thank you very much for everything that you have, exemplified so far for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think it's about the relationship. Let's go ahead, Curtis. Sorry,
I have all three of his books signed, his daughters, himself, and
Wow.
myself as well. Yeah.
yeah.
So when is your son's book coming out, Amit?
In our family, he's unique. He's unique. He does not have a book, so
It's got to be coming soon.
So it is about, again, that's all about building people up, and one of the things that really is about building people up is those relationships, right? So Jim, tell us a little bit more about why relationships are so important in these connections and in the leadership circle.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. I mean, relationships are at the heart of everything that we do, whether it's books and, selling books, publishing books, meeting people, interactions like this, even going to your favorite cafe and ordering a latte. It's all about relationships, right? Because if you don't interact well with the person, your barista, they're going to serve you one sour drink, right? So regardless of what we're doing, it's all about relationships. And just to pick up on what Amit said earlier about, reaching the top and not being lonely at the top. Because I think for generations, business people bought into the line that it's lonely at the top, and they accepted that. So what they did was they burned all the relationships, all the bridges, just to have success. But I know Amit's message, my message is you don't have to be lonely at the top. You can have success. You can have wonderful relationships. You can have all of those things. You can have a balanced life in your spiritual, your physical, emotional. You can have all that stuff. You don't have to scrap all of that just to succeed. And that's what I love about it. And that's, that's why our worlds tie in so well together, because it is all about relationships. And just, what's the sense in having all the success in the world, having no one to share it with, no one that loves you, no one that cares, no one that you love or care about with you to share that journey? Because it is about a journey. It's not just the destination of being wealthy and rich and famous and all that wonderful stuff. It's about the destination. It's about that journey along that line and who you can include and who you can gather in. And it's such a big thing. And I think today, especially over these last 2 years, we've learned how small the world is, because we can connect virtually. We can connect all that. So our whole worlds are just gotten smaller, but it's still based around relationships, right? We may not have the physical stuff, but virtually we can do it. We can still reach out. There's 100 different ways we can connect with people, right? There's TikTok, there's WhatsApp, there's Facebook. We got a gazillion different ways to connect with people, but it's all about relationships.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And then, so like you mentioned, we're so connected. There's so many ways that we can still be involved with one another. Again, I don't know how I'd manage without the connections. And I've written a book called The Mission to Build a Life You Love to Live. And really it's about, enjoying those things and having everything you want, but still maintaining the connection, the closeness. I'm trying to build a business, but I'm still trying to build that around my family life. And without having that quality time and that time spent, what am I doing it for? What is the point of all of this, right?
Absolutely.
And then, so Amit, you've taught us also that there's you're teaching us other platforms. You're teaching us how to get out there and communicate with people. The one you're teaching us all the time. I used to hate this platform until you've taught me how to use it, is WhatsApp. Tell us how we can use that to kind of communicate with people and maybe talk leadership, talk business, and be connected that way.
Well, the whole platform of WhatsApp, it begins from its origin. One of the fascinating stories in business is about WhatsApp itself. If you don't know the background of WhatsApp, especially to the listeners, I would like to give you a quick, a 1-minute recap of what WhatsApp is all about. WhatsApp is a company that started in 2009. And in 5 years, in 2014, this company was bought over by Facebook in 5 years for 19 billion with a B. Okay, $19 billion. So what I want you to get from this, the lesson that I got from this when I looked at these numbers, in this 5 years, how much value was built into this company, that one person saw the value and was ready to pay $19 billion for a software that is hardly, 200 megabytes. It's like a college student can create that software right now. In 2 hours, they can create that software. But somebody paid $19 billion for that software of WhatsApp. So what I gathered from this small little example is all about the value that you give to others. There is so much to learn from this simple example. And of course, the 19 billion and all that is not really there. If you don't remember that, that's okay. The main thing I want you to take away from this is the value that this person who thought of an idea of WhatsApp, and he put in so much of work, so much of value in that product, and made it extremely valuable for someone to look at it and say, oh my God, this product is worth $19 billion. And of course, it was the smartest decision that was taken by the new owner, because you've seen where it has gone in the last 8 years. So that was a brilliant decision for buying it for 19 billion. So the whole point is now for entrepreneurs and small business owners, their job is to really leverage platforms like this. And if you are not familiar with WhatsApp, it's not like it's end of the world, but it's something that has so much potential of reaching your audience is just amazing. And that's the whole point. Like, how would you develop these relationships? One of the most important tools is communication. If you want to make money, if you want to gather the income, if you want to have that amazing lifestyle for your family, if you want to think about retirement, it's all to do with what you are giving out to other people. Because literally money is an exchange, right? It's something that you are giving out of tremendous value, and people are paying you for that. So the whole concept of understanding this business from the point of view that if you're not making money right now, if you're not having the income that you want, really look at yourself and look at the value that you're producing for others. Because it's a clear indication. And I'll tell you, it's sometimes very difficult. It's very hard to confront, because you think, oh my God, I've been working so hard. And Amit, you know how many hours I work in a day and all that. But have a look. I mean, you really have to confront and see, does that really give value to others? Okay. And there are 2 or 3 other steps to involve after that. And if you go through this 2 or 3 steps, then you will recognize what's missing and why you're not making enough money and why people are not getting the value that they actually can get from you. There are a couple of pieces missing. And once you fill in those spots, that's it. The success formula works.
And I think we're on the verge of that here, Curtis and I. Again, we've built this. We're your chief students at this point, or a couple of them. We learn from you at least twice a week, not to mention all the posts and the content that you're constantly giving us throughout the week. But again, you mentioned WhatsApp and its value there. And I like the apps, because I mean these are ways for us to get in touch with people. But I like the apps where there's that interaction. I don't deal with Pinterest or Instagram, because really that's that I'm blasting you some information, or I'm blasting you a picture or a video, and there's really not that back channel where you can get involved and help people to change or grow or develop. So Curtis, again, we're talking about adding value. How is it, or what have you taken from this lesson of adding value people? Because I think that's what really it all boils down to.
Well, it's just communicating with you, just talking to people here and there and see what they're all about and making them feel good, saying good things about them, even though something is not nice that they're doing. If you're still nice to them, they'll still appreciate what you're doing, right? So I think it's always showing gratitude and appreciation for others, no matter what. And then it always comes back. It's always returned to you, no matter what, because you're giving that good vibe out. It comes back to you, right? And that's my, that's what I like to talk about. And I try to do with others, because a lot of times I find if you're nice, even though someone's mean to you, you just continue to be nice. And you know what? They can't be mean to you anymore, because you can only be a certain state of mind. It can't be 2 sets, right? So if you are positive and you're a good person, and then you continue that, no matter what that person's treating you like, eventually you just turn around. It's just like a magical little force that's invisible that makes it work. I'm sure Jim knows about relationships and stuff. I'm sure you can probably attest to that happening. And Emmett, I know that's one of the lessons we've learned from you before too, which I totally 100% agree with, the profound positivity thing you did with us. That was awesome.
Yeah.
EPP.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's what I take away from there, from the communication.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it is about adding value, but and so that's really, it is, again, I go back to our relationship specialist, because adding value, relationships, how are those two related?
Yeah, I mean, they connect so well, and I think with value, I think success is really one of those top down and bottom up things that we do, right? We're at the top where we're hitting the masses. We're on a lot of these apps, we're on little platforms where we're hitting and trying to connect with the masses, and putting out valuable information, valuable resources. We're always creating value that way. But from what I mean from the bottom up is not forgetting the grassroots, reaching out and connecting with people one-to-one, whether it's a direct message or a phone call, the good old-fashioned phone calls, those kind of things, having those kind of conversations. One of my favorite things to do right now is I book out a number of slots through my week and book 30-minute calls. And I just connect with people for 30 minutes on Zoom like this, and we just talk. And that builds value into their lives because, as you were saying, Curtis, what we pass on to others through value is contagious, and it will come back to us. And so I think it's a top down and bottom up approach, that we don't just throw it out into the masses and, hope for the best. One of the most funniest things right now, because I think we could all agree that a lot of the platforms are being diluted of their purity. In that, what I mean is one person could have 6 different virtual assistants sending out all kinds of message and connection requests, trying to get you in, to try to get them on their calendar. And I had a phone call from a guy one time. I reached out to him legitimately. I wanted to connect with him on LinkedIn. And I got an instant reply back. He says, "Are you a real person or a virtual assistant?" I laughed and I replied, we had a coffee meeting the next day and just absolutely had a great time. We built a great friendship, great relationship just from that interaction. But we wanted to know that there was a real person on the other side. And I think that's what we got to get back to, is remember that value of personal interaction. I mean, stuff like this, 4 guys just talking and just adding value and looking for ways, if you want to be successful in business, find ways to add value, right? Just over deliver all the time, under promise, over deliver, and add value, not just doing something just to get the paycheck, just to get the deal, just to sell the programs, just to get the package out there, but doing stuff where we're over delivering all the time and just adding value everywhere we go.
Absolutely. And then, so I mean, Amit, you taught us, you're teaching us to, of course, build products. We all have products to offer. If we're going to try and be in business, we need to have that exchange. We need to get the income in order to keep doing this. But at the same time, we need to be ready. So you talk about communication out all the time, right? Like, yes, we need to get our message out there. And I'll get to that in a second. But Jim, I love, because I appreciate any time that I find out I'm talking to the authority, to the expert, and it's not a virtual assistant. So thank you very much for mentioning that, because there is so much communication out going on, right? That you're so shocked to find out you're actually talking to the expert, instead of somebody trying to get your attention. So
yeah. But it creates a great opportunity for legitimate people, right? Because this is all happening up on this bandwidth. We can slip in underneath there and start making those little connections, adding value at the grassroots level. I mean, it's just a brilliant model. If if anybody, if the listeners are watching and paying attention, you want a good model to follow, start doing that. Don't just get caught up in the virtual. Everybody wants a VA. So, it's great if your business is at that place where it needs it, but don't forget that you still need to be connecting with people. So that's great.
And then, so, I mean, communication out, that's exactly what it's about. We need to get our message across to people. And, like, great if we have 4 virtual assistants who can get that message across for us. One of the best methods I've heard is, okay, yeah, you're dealing with a virtual assistant, but now the next step is, okay, I'd like to connect you, so-and-so, I can connect you directly. How, when can I set up this opportunity for you guys to talk, right? That's really what it boils down to, because you want to get that moment or that one-to-one, like you said, those 30-minute conversations on Zoom where you can, serve. You can and that's another thing. So let's talk about that for a moment, because I follow James Autry, servant leadership, and it's the oldest principle in business or communication. Jesus Christ served people. So we've learned this lesson for how many years at this point. So let's talk about what we're trying to do in leadership, which is to serve.
Yeah.
Who wants to chime in there?
Go for it, Amit.
Agnes Carmichael, Built to Serve. I like his book. Just wrote that. Reading that right now. And he does a lot of YouTube videos and stuff. And he's all about serving. He does a lot of stuff for free. And he also has his paid stuff too. But he does talk to a lot of people, like through Zoom and stuff like that too, right? So I like his example of okay, let's see. Emma, what do you have to say?
For me, literally the first principle of leadership is lead by example. That's the first principle of leadership, because leader is not, 50 years ago leadership meant something totally different. Leadership meant that you are the boss and you have 500 people working for you. You go in the leader and everybody has to follow you. Now the concept of leadership is so fluid. It has changed so much over the past years. It's like you are looked up as a leader because that's something that people aspire to become. That's something that motivates them, that you are their inspiration. So it's really important, if you are in a position of a leader, to lead by example. And one of the ways that you can do it, like whenever you're doing an action, whenever you're involved in an activity, it may be getting up early, it might be doing a certain thing, it might be giving value, it might be not giving value. Think of it that, are you setting up a good example? Are you setting up a good example? Is that something, the easiest way, like the way I think about it, because I have a 11-year-old son, and the way I look at it is that, whatever I'm doing right now, would I want him to do the same thing? And it's such an easy answer for me, whether I should do that activity or not do it. It's not, oh my God, I don't know. Like, would I want my son to do that activity? And if the answer is yes, oh my God, he will love it if I did that, or he would love to do it himself. Boom, that's a go for me. So it may be related to the communication, that topic that we're talking about. Like, would he want me to do this action because it is helping 100 people? Of course, he would love for me to do the action. So should I just sit down and do nothing? No, because he will love me to do that action. So I better go out and do it. And doing that action, I'm playing in that leadership role because I'm leading with example. So people who get inspired, motivated by seeing me, my group, people who are my clients, my family, my supporters, look at me and they say, oh my God, Amit is working way harder than me. What is stopping me from doing it? He comes from a totally different background. He did not know anything about business. He did not know, I'll tell you a funny story on that. I have a client right now, and she is a pro in website designing and SEO and all that. Like, she's amazing at that, and she is one of my students. And for me, I came to Canada in 2000, and when I was at the airport, I was talking to one of my cousin, and he told me, Amit, you know what? Once you go to Canada, make sure that you send me an email, okay? And the funniest thing, I told him that, I said, I don't know if I can send you an email. I need I need to buy my own computer, because I can't send out an email from any other. I need my own computer, right, to send an email. And he said, no, you don't. I mean, that was the level of knowledge I had in 2000, and this was so funny. And now, going through this experience of learning so many things and mastering this whole online piece, learning about so much about business, I'm able to coach people and train people who are experts in that area. So it's really a journey. It's totally a journey. And the way that I got there is by using this first principle of leadership, is lead by example. Mm-hmm. Every time whether I do it or not do it, it's a simple decision for me. Would I want my son to do that activity?
Mm-hmm. And so to reverse that too, because I mean, we all know or may have heard of the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? So yes. Would you want people to act this way towards you, right? So just thinking of that, because maybe they don't have an 11-year-old son that they're responsible to, and they don't know how to think that way. But would you want people to treat you this way or act this way towards you? And if so, then this is a fine example or a fine action to take. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll just complete that. There's two more things. If you want to take that, no, I mean, I'm giving you example of my son, and you're right. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has 11-year-old. You can also think about, will my mom love it if I tell her I did this? Right. And the second thing is what I did in terms of my action. If it gets published in the front cover page of a newspaper, would I like it?
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I forgot where I was going with this. Just, you gave us so much to think about and talk about in that little segment there, but we're talking about how we want people to treat us and how we can have those relationships. Oh, I remember where I was going to go with this. Is that we're all leaders. It doesn't matter whether what what segment of life, whether we lead those 500 people and we're responsible for this big major business, or we're just an individual trying to exist in life and trying to get through life. We're all leaders on some level. And we all aspire to that leadership title or moniker. But so and this is again why we've kind of created this platform, is we want to be that example, to show people that, look, Curtis and I come from worker background, right? We're both laborers, and we have a job and we work for others, but that doesn't mean we're not leaders and we can't lead others. We can't teach people that this is the way to operate. And so not only, okay, yes, we're trying to get our own businesses going on the side and trying to earn income so we can, walk away from our professions one day. But one of the things I learned is that you can lead no matter what level you're on. Like, you can lead with your coworkers, or you can even lead towards your boss or your manager. Like, you can pass off assignments to that and delegate back and forth and share assignments. By you taking the lead in this area, you are being that leader. You are doing that that thing that you are aspiring to by watching your boss and hoping to achieve that one day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys are entrepreneurs, right? But so how have you found other examples of leadership? How have you seen other people trying to lead the way?
I know for me, just watching people as I've grown and matured over the years, being willing to roll up their shirt sleeves and do something that's, maybe a little bit lower than their pay grade, right? Not being afraid. And that's something that I've tried to model, growing up. 27 years ago, I started my renovation construction company, and it was just me, myself, and I had to do everything. And then as I started to build crews and started bringing people on, I never asked them to do anything that I wouldn't do. I would never, put them at more risk than I was willing to go at, because I had gone through and experienced all those things. So it shaped my mindset in terms of how I would treat people. But I've seen some terrible leadership, models over the years, where people are demeaning and just, they think they're that step above. But, I was thinking as you were sharing there a couple minutes ago, that there's levels and layers in leadership, isn't there? Because really all leadership is just taking responsibility. And we take responsibility at all different aspects. So even if you're, say, a foreman under a boss, you still have responsibility under there. And you could be a worker within that, but you can still take responsibility to care and reach out and look after other people around you. So there's always ways that we can step in and show leadership skills by taking responsibility. And as we do that, I think we grow and mature and start to work up in the ranks.
Absolutely. And I'm writing my next book. And that is one of the first topics, is you are responsible, right? No matter what happens out there, no matter what you want to achieve, no matter what happens to you and the outcomes you receive, you're responsible for all of that, right? So we can't just look to others and rely on others for what may come. We have to kind of take the lead and put these things into practice, or take the initiative in order to make things happen.
Yeah. It goes back to that old saying, somebody will complain and say, I was dealt a bad hand, I can't do anything. Well, you just take responsibility for where you are right now. Forget about all the different things that may or may not have happened to you, fair or unfair, just, unjust. Just take responsibility for where you are. What can you do next, and start doing it?
Absolutely. And when you were thinking about that, I was thinking about an audio I used to listen to where the guys, they're given a presentation, a co-presentation, and this one guy doesn't hold up his end. She was, the woman was all relying on him, right? They were prepared for this, but he didn't hold up his end. He didn't deliver. And then so she asked him at the end, and he said, well, it's sad. And she says, well, yeah, it's really sad. And she says, no, you don't. He says, you don't understand. It's sad, sudden affective disorder. In other words, you've gotten affected by the environment and that winter blues. And, so it's sad. So in other words, he was blaming the environment and the things that are happening around him, rather than taking responsibility and being prepared and, moving forward. She said, no, don't worry, that's my responsibility. I should have been more prepared in case something like this happens. So that's exactly what it boils down to. We blame everything else, right? I remember when I was an angry man, I was blaming the world for the way things were affecting me and the life I was living. And why has this always happened to me, right? And I'll tell you, when I started to grow was because I took responsibility for my actions.
Yeah, it's so true. It's
And
so
that's
easy
so
just
true.
to point fingers.
Yeah, that's the easy part. That's right.
But remember, when you point a finger at somebody, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you.
That's correct. That's correct. Because the whole point about the conversation we are having is the person might be in this frame of mind about limitations, about the restrictions that they currently have. And that was the reason we launched a program which is called From Limitations to Leadership. Mm-hmm. And what that program does, it's a weekly program that we do. We work 1 hour in a group setting every week. We've been doing that for about 2 years now, and we have a very close-knit group. And 1 hour, we do very, very specific topic. Like we just finished a very important topic, which is competency. In that group, we taught people what exactly is competency. And there was so much misunderstanding about this word. And right now we're teaching organization. How do you actually organize? Because the organization is such a key piece in your personal life, in your physical life, in everything around you. And that's when you start blaming stuff around you. You start going, oh, because this is not in place, because this guy behaved to me like this. But were you organized to take care of your life? Were you organized in your business? Were you organized in your work so that you could take responsibility and say, you know what, it was actually me? Mm-hmm. Because now that we've changed, we've probably, been teaching ourselves for so many years, we've come to a level whereby, yes, we say, you know what, we are responsible. Whatever happens in my life, I'm responsible. But remember, it's a passage, right? Like we didn't start out this way. Initially, we did start with this whole blaming aspect of it. It wasn't very clear. So in these programs, and whenever I'm talking to people, I realize that it's a scale, right? If you ask a person, hey, you know what, actually, you are totally responsible, the person is going to hate you. Because they say, no, how can I be responsible? That's impossible. Like he'll go actually crazy if you suddenly say it's your responsibility, because he definitely is not ready for that message. So it's important to meet people where they are. And that's where this program that we did, From Limitations to Leadership, that's where the idea came in. That what if people are in different levels of limitations? How can we still take them to a level from where they are and really take them to a level of leadership? Because the amazing part about this is we have moms in this particular program. We have entrepreneurs, we have small business owners, we have all types of people, because it's leadership is in the exact sense of what we are talking about. It's not just for that one person who owns a business or is a corporate ownership and all that. No, it is every person is leader in their own position. So it's phenomenal to see their journey and to understand this whole scale about how leadership works.
Yeah. And I love what you were saying about, misunderstanding words, because that is so key, isn't it? Regardless of what level you're at. I mean, if you took all those people at different levels and asked them to interpret a word, they'd probably give you different understanding of it. And I think that's so key, is just understanding that and understanding the fact we're not even aware that we're supposed to take responsibility, right? 100%. We're just allowed to muddle in our problems and muddle in our self-pity and just devalue so many things. We're not even taught to take responsibility for any of those actions.
100%. In one of my coaching session, there was a drill that I did with a group of people, and it was very, very effective. If you want, I can share that drill with you. Is that okay?
Sure, please do.
Yeah. So what I gave them as a drill is I told them that pick up 20 words that are very, very often used in your profession, the most commonly used word in your profession. And next time we meet, I want you to be ready with the definitions of each and every word. And people were, oh, of course, that's not difficult. What's the problem in that? I said, no, let's go through this drill and we'll meet next week. And people were just so baffled that they did not have the definitions of the word. And I'm not just talking about, entrepreneurs who are newbies. These are entrepreneurs, business owners who've been in business for 30, 35 years. right? Mortgage agents and accountants and real estate agents, all these people, I told them, pick up 20 words. Pick up 20 words and give me the definition. Like if you are in mortgage, define credit for me. If you are, if you're an accountant, give me the definition of money. How would you define money? And people are, oh my God, no. Money is what? Money is this, and they'll come up with something which is not even real for them. So, Jim, I mean, what we're talking about is so critical. And this is one drill. Like if you're listening right now, and if you just want to start off, just being an expert and a leader in your specific industry, pick up 20 words. Pick up 20 words. Just look up the definitions. If you want to really get it, then look at the origin of the word, because that's where the magic actually begins for each word.
Yeah, because like you say, different professions, different organizations will use a word differently.
Yes.
And it becomes like a closed language, doesn't it? Right?
Yes.
If you're in a certain organization, these words mean this. When you're outside of that organization, it could mean something completely different. And all of them could be completely far from the truth of the meaning of the word. So you're right. I mean, I would strongly encourage listeners as well to look up words. If your boss starts telling you, a specific word, don't just use it in the context of your work world or your business world. Find out what that actually means. I mean, we could create something right here, right now. We could say, okay, when a person on a Zoom call is talking and that yellow screen comes around there, that's called a sucker frame. And we could just create a term called sucker frame, and we could make the whole world believe that a sucker frame is that, which means nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just the point, that we get into a small little niche or a small little world, and we understand words at that level, but we don't know the truth of them.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is also true for a lot of children, right? And this is such a critical component for parents to understand. Parents will say, hey, you know what? No, don't do that. Be good. Okay, what's good? Does good mean that I have to just keep quiet all the time? Is that really what good means? Like if you don't really define what good really is to them, then they start thinking, oh, you know what? Me shutting up, me not talking is actually being good. Yes. And it has huge implications down the road. Huge implications down the road.
Yeah. I learned that when my daughter was about 5 years old, and I sent her into her bedroom. I said, clean your room, please. And she went into her room, closed the door. I went up, because things were pretty quiet. I went back an hour later. Her room looked exactly the same. And suddenly my lesson was, she doesn't understand what clean means. Like, she doesn't understand what I mean. Her room looked perfectly fine to her. She loved it where everything was scattered around and where toys and where everything was. That didn't mean anything to her. For me to say, go clean your room, made absolutely no sense at all. So her interpretation was, clean my room is, oh, well, I'm in my room, I may as well play. So that's what her interpretation was at the time. So then I had to define what I meant. And I realized that at a young age with my children, exactly that. You have to define what you mean as you're going through there, because we understand the word, we know what we mean, but telling them that same term means absolutely nothing to them. It's a foreign language.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I used to carry a dictionary around with me as a teenager, right? Like that was big for me. That was part of my learning. So Amit, I'm pretty good at definitions. I can usually define a word pretty well, but you always get me reconsidering, right? And because I'll throw out an answer and you're like, yeah, okay, that's close, but okay, let's look at it this way, right? So we don't know what under each circumstances or to another person. So it's about a level of understanding, right? And we may not be all at that same level of understanding. We may still be that 5-year-old little child, right? So and when I'm thinking about this, I think about the maturity continuum. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, the 7 habits from Stephen Covey, that graph, that chart. We all start a life of dependence. We're dependent on our mother and our father for our needs and for those things that we have to, just the basic needs. And then we depend on them for our understanding. But the idea is we're going to go to that next level at some point, which is independence, right? Some people never get to that, but each person's stages are different. Each person's level of understanding comes, like Amit says, in its own time, right? You learn the lesson when that lesson is due. And, until we learn that lesson, we can't move to a different level of understanding.
Sure. Yeah. And I think growing up, sometimes, people can stay at a certain level. Look at the infant level and understanding of words. Look at our child level in life and the understanding of word. And then look at adult level and what we should understand as words. I think oftentimes some people will just get stuck at that infant or child stage and just keep that meaning for their entire life and just grow and develop with that rather than challenging themselves and maturing themselves to learn. They just take that, right? And no fault of their own, because that was the environment they grew up in. That was the understanding they had of that word, and they carried that through. They weren't challenged to look at it any differently.
Mm-hmm. Curtis, you've unmuted a couple times. Do you have something to add in here? What are your thoughts?
Much like the dictionary thing you said, my mom says, if you want to learn something, look at the encyclopedia. Always like, oh, what's this mean? What's that mean? And then I got more into the technical things. I can pretty much figure out anything, anywhere, right? And then some people will you talked about something about technical stuff. It's like, what's that mean? It's like, oh, it says this. But then it's like I said, is the interpretation of that word. Because like Jim was saying, like when you're a kid, you said, be good. And that means being quiet. But as an adult, being quiet is not necessarily the right thing to be doing at certain times, right? So as we grow, we should also learn. And I don't think a lot of people know that they should still be growing. Even if you're 60 or 70-year-olds, there's still stuff you can learn. And you just never stop learning. So that's what I'm thinking, that even though you have the communication, you got to be learning, you got to be always engaging yourself to push to the next level, even just like mentally, physically, spiritually. It's always an ongoing thing, I think, for sure. And that's what leadership to me means, is that you never stop learning. You just continue to learn, because someone's always better than you. And even people who are under you, you can learn from a child. Like Jim was saying, like, put a kid in the room, she thinks, fine, I'm going to play. That's what I do in my room. I don't clean my room, I play in my room. So I think he had a lesson as a child, from a child, right? So you never know what you're going to learn as a leader, because it could be anywhere, anytime, any place. You just like you accept it and you take it as a lesson. You may not like it sometimes, but it's there. It's there for you for some reason or another. Invisible force is there helping you out. You just take it and accept it, and then it will come to light at some point in the future, or maybe the same day. You just don't know. And that's what this whole conversation we had today is like, really a kind of a summary there, I think.
And that's what it boils down to, is you never know who you're going to learn from or what you're going to learn. But I will say that, I mean, first of all, we need to take upon ourselves that self-leadership and the ownership to lead, or to grow and understand. But one of the problems is that, some parents, I'm not going to blame anybody specifically, but some parents try to nurture their child and protect their children so that they don't, come to harm, or they don't experience this. But truthfully, like Amit said, you're doing them ill harm down the road, right? So we need to step forward. We need to experience these things in order to learn, in order to move forward. And I think that's everybody's responsibility.
Yeah, so true.
So we're coming to the end of our scheduled time here today. So, gentlemen, this has been a great conversation. I thank you guys for joining us. Let's have your parting thoughts before we go, on leadership and on business and on relationships. What do you got to say? Amit, if you can come in first and, let us know your thoughts.
Sure, definitely. So leadership is really something that the person needs to develop within first, right? It's not imposed. It is not something that you have to be pushed into the position of leadership. But if they realize that, in this position, I need to be a leader. I need to be a leader because I understand the value of my position, of what I am supposed to do. And that's why I need to be a leader, not because I've been put up on stage. Now I need to speak to 500 people, or now suddenly I'm in this corporate position. Now I have to lead. You will see those forced upon leadership positions will not do good. But if it is an opted in leadership position that you decide that, I want to change my life. I want to make a big difference in my community. I want to start helping more people. And that's why I'm going to step up my game and I'm going to become a leader. If you come with that intention, if you get into that position of leadership with this specific intention, then even sky is not the limit.
Absolutely. Thank you. Again, I think back to my journey. Like when I started this, I just wanted to live a better life for myself, right? I was angry, I was peeved off, and I wasn't happy. There had to be a better way. I wanted that better life. So I started learning, I started growing. And eventually, like you say, I found I was called upon. You know what I mean? I had this message inside me and I knew I was called upon to share it. And now I'm out there trying to share this message with other people and telling them, look, first of all, leadership starts with you. You are the leader of yourself. Once you do that, you may find that you're called upon to serve others in other ways. So it's all about the journey. We are responsible for it, and once you take that upon yourself, you will find your path.
That's good.
So Jim, let's have some thoughts from you on leadership and where that goes.
Yeah, no, I think, in terms of leadership, it has to start with ourselves first. We have to learn how to lead ourselves in terms of taking care of ourselves, disciplining ourselves, growing, maturing, as Curtis said, never stop learning, never stop growing, but it all starts with leading ourselves. I mean, you could be really good at leading 100 people, but if you can't discipline yourself and keep your own core values and look after yourself in terms of your health and everything else, you're not going to be an effective leader, I don't think. So I think leadership really needs to start with ourselves. And then once we learn how to lead ourselves through discipline and through that structure, then we start leading in the areas that we have available to us. I mean, you can't lead where you are not. So you have to lead where you are. And whatever responsibilities or opportunities come, that's where we need to start to lead and to grow. So many times I've seen people pass up small opportunities that would probably help them advance them, looking for the bigger thing, right? I had a wise mentor say to me one time, he said, always be prepared for the move, but never look for the move. In other words, be responsible where you are, be the very best version of yourself where you are. And then the day will come where you'll be invited, you'll be encouraged, you'll be lifted up into that next level. But it starts by being prepared. And I think once we learn how to do that, first at ourselves, where we are, then as opportunities come up, look at them and say, okay, this would be a good opportunity for me to mature and to grow and to develop more leadership skills, and then continue to go and rise through that. And again, to go back to what Curtis was saying, yeah, keep learning and growing. Right. I mean, science has taught us that by the time we're age 35, most of what we think, most of our creativity just stops right there. Because most of us have gone through school, we've established our careers, we've kind of maybe gotten married, had our children, and around 35 years of age, we just stop and we just start going into that automatic mode. And we don't learn, we don't grow, we don't challenge, we don't do anything. We just go into that same old thing day in and day out. I think that's the key to it. That Curtis was alluding to, is just continue to grow, continue to challenge, continue to develop yourself. If you get up in the morning and say, I've learned everything I need to learn, I don't need to learn anything else, I would encourage you to go back to bed, get up, and come up with a different answer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you talked about being prepared. Now I'm a Boy Scout. So, I mean, I learned early on, be prepared, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, Mitt teaches us lessons all the time. So we're his student and we've been learning for him for quite a while. But yesterday in our class, he put us to the test and we got to find out, are we prepared? Are we ready? Because we've been working on a message. We've been working on our product and being able to talk to people about these things. But I'd be willing to bet that, maybe half of us were able to, on a moment's notice, deliver the message that we've been preparing quite a while to deliver. So, Curtis, what were your thoughts, first of all, on that? And then we are a beacon of leadership. This is just starting. We've been talking about our mission and our vision and putting that together. So let's hear your thoughts. Are you prepared for this moment?
Well, we always may think we're not prepared, but under pressure, things just happen. Like yesterday, I put a whole presentation with the order form and that together within 10 minutes. It's like, wow, it's pretty fast. And why I was able to do that? Because I learned the systems on how to operate it, right? And then it's like, do it. It's like, okay, I'll do it. And that's all it takes. Just a little kick in the ass, get you motivated. You got a timeline, get it done. And I did it. And it came out decent. If we refine it, obviously it would be better, but just to put you in the fire for a minute and see how it goes. It was very intense, but you know what? It just made you do it. You just get there somehow, some way, you make it happen. And some people there were unsure at first, and all of a sudden, like, wow, they did an amazing job at it. It's like, holy cow, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, wow, the person, this was amazing. I can't believe you weren't prepared, and this, you did it all in minutes. It's like,
Yeah.
but that's the whole thing, is that we never know if we can or cannot do something until either we're pushed or someone says, do it now or you're gonna die, and it happens, right? Just the motivation within makes it work, right? So yeah, I think you're always gotta be ready. Like Jim was saying there, if you never know, but if you're doing the responsible thing and keeping good to yourself and doing, always learning and always developing yourself, something good comes, and when it's time, you get under fire, you do the job, like being a soldier, right? You do the same drills over and over and over, your basic training. What happens in a battle? Boom, you do exactly everything you're taught. It's just like not, you don't have to think about it, you're just done. So that's my thought on that. I think it's gonna work. I think it just works. It's how people are, I think. You just keep learning, keep doing things, and all of a sudden it's like that opportunity pops up and it's like, hey, I can actually do this. And I feel good.
Mhm.
Right? So yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you for those words specifically, because, you know, one of the biggest problems, and that's the mission I'm trying to fight, is that we doubt ourselves, right? Even I'm still working on this. As much as I teach people confidence and being ready, and you can do this, I still have doubts. Like, who am I to share this message? Who am I to tell you that you need to be a leader and you need to take this upon yourself and you need to be responsible? Who am I to share this message? But it all comes boiling down to, look, I've learned that I need to be responsible, to me, and then those around me. I need to be responsible for setting that example. And then that's all about preparing myself. And when it is time, we find we're able to step up or step into those shoes and fill the role that we were meant to fill. So for those people who have doubts out there of whether you should be a leader, that's why we've created this platform, Beacon of Leadership, is because, look, the world needs great leaders. It needs people to step up and help people through the journey. We're all in this life together. We all live different lives, but we're here to coexist. We're here to help each other along the way. So that's why we've created Beacon of Leadership. We have people like Amit and Jim who help us along on our journey. Curtis and I help each other along on the journey. Curtis, how many times have I experienced doubt or whether we can do this, or experienced frustration, and then relied upon you to bring me back to the table, level me out, and, assure me that I can do this. You've been my cheerleader on occasion.
Well, I believe in the mission too, and I do things differently than you do, and I know that, and that's fine. But I think we all need just a little encouragement from someone that we trust. And I trust you, you trust me, and then you say, hey, let's get this done. And, hey, try this, do this. It's like, okay, I'll try it. You know what I mean? So we help each other, and you just need a partner there sometimes to help. If you were to do this on your own, as you know previously, it didn't work for you. Right? Then we got together and it's like, hey, let's do this. And then now look where you are. You're doing an awesome job. Right?
And definitely I can second that with the success that I've seen with both of you, where you started, even when, our interaction started, and where I see both of you, RJ and Curtis, amazing growth and improvement. Like, even the way that you speak today, like, I don't know if you saw your own videos about a year ago and your videos today, there's a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
There is a huge difference. Just the confidence that you've built, just the way that you communicate is so much better because you've been doing it, because you are totally a new you now. You are you. You don't have those layers that were put upon you, those limitations that were put upon you. Now you are actually becoming you. So kudos to both of you. And Jim, it was so awesome to see you again, my friend. Thank you again, RJ and Curtis, for bringing this event together. And I'm very, very happy to be here.
Oh, it's good to meet you guys. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just going to say, and I appreciate the the opportunity to be here as well, Amit. It was great to catch up with you and see you again. I mean, I see and hear lots about you going around, and so it's wonderful. It's all good things, of course, and so I'm excited. And I remember when I first met you and your lovely wife and family, and just to see the as you guys have grown and developed and over the years has been wonderful. So this has been great to catch up, and I agree with all that you've said about these two guys. I think we should put them off camera just so that, because I don't want their heads getting any bigger because
Yeah,
it won't
just-
fit inside the.
I can feel the
their Zoom
throbbing
room
going
here.
on.
But no, you
Remain
guys
humble,
really have
remain
grown.
humble.
I remember the first time we sat together, you know, at live events, just sitting.
Yeah.
I think RJ, you and I, we had lunch with my wife and a couple other people. That was the first time we really met. And Curtis, I know we talked over some tables and just talked and had some interaction. And I looked at how you guys were. You were very quiet and unsure, but now I see some great confidence. Just as Ahmed has said, I see great confidence in both of you. You're much more articulate. You're focused. You know where you're going. You know the direction, and I know that the purpose is going to unfold. And I love what you guys are doing. I think it's an amazing. So it's good. Thanks for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for all of your reaffirmation, because again, and it is a growth journey. Curtis, I want to touch upon something there because Amit brought that up. First of all, thank you. I do believe we've come a long way. But Curtis, I don't know, but how many days in a row have you done a broadcast at this point?
Well, it's been probably 2 years, almost just over 2 years. And I used to do every day, 365 in a row.
And that started from, if I'm not mistaken, a 99-day challenge that you took yourself upon. And next thing you know, it's a couple years later.
Yeah, I started before that. I was trying to be on camera. I was like super shy. So I was just doing daily videos of myself to see.
I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I did a 99-day video challenge, and then I just kept on going after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the reason I mentioned that is because I remember at the beginning of that 99-day challenge, how shy you were and how uncomfortable you were delivering this message. And you still have room to grow. Of course, we all do. But I mean, you have come a long way from that shy guy who was afraid to deliver a message.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what it's all about, right? Look, it doesn't matter what stage you're at. It doesn't matter who you are, what your level you're at. You know what? Tony Robbins still has some room to grow. Warren Buffett still has some work to do. So don't imagine for those people out there that you don't measure up. Just take it at what level you're at and learn to grow from there. Just do what is expected of you each day. Continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to become a beacon of leadership. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everything for everyone out there. Continue to grow and learn. And thank you for being a part of this today. Have a great day.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
Have a good one.
See you.